Welcome to Start Here, a podcast sharing the stories of active, aspiring, and accidental entrepreneurs. I'm Nicole Eaton.
And I'm Dave Bradbury. So let's get to the show.
Today we sit down with Jason Wilbur, founder of Wilbur Super Machines, which is a luxury watch brand, but I feel like that doesn't sum it up at all because it's so unique. So welcome, Jason.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming.
Oh, it's my pleasure to be here with you guys.
Yeah. We're so excited to have you.
I can't wait to learn about watches.
I
and
can't.
The why and all the rest of this journey, right?
Yeah.
So let's just get some grounding. What are super machines and why did you start this business?
Well, it's funny to me because it was, I can go all the way back, but I'm not going to go all the way back, right away. But basically for me, building these businesses, building their brands. For me, it's about building brands, right? It's building businesses with personality, with character, right? So they can live on their own. But for me, what I really realized over the years, sometimes I thought it was about financial. I wanted to go big financially. I wanted to build empires. I wanted to do this and I wanted to do that. And I even say that sometimes still. But really deep down, it was survival for me. This is about creative survival. This is about being able to kind of test my limits, see what I'm truly capable of as an individual, and taking like an industry or taking like an object that's been over hundreds of years accepted as a certain thing and seeing if I can like basically tip the scale, if I can change the attitude of what luxury is, or if I can change the attitude of what something is. And it's like theoretically you're running into a room, pulling a pin on a grenade, throwing it on the thing, running away, and hoping that everybody accepts that. And in certain ways there's a challenge, but this is a natural. What I always tell people, I don't make watches. I make super machines. It's mechanical art that happens to tell time. Like I tell people all the time, I don't care what time it is. I mean, my watch says 8:56. They're never set to the right time. It's more of a rule of the art. It's kind of like that's one of the restrictions that I'm placing on it, is that it has to be parked here and tell time.
Got it. So you've talked about mechanized art, right? I love that phrasing, right? And so this is the most recent manifestation of that for you.
Right.
Okay, got it. How many years have you been in business making these timepieces?
Well, I actually started. The initial launch attempt was around 2008, 2009. I had created a watch that it's now I sold it to an outfit called Devon. Eventually I patented it. I created the prototypes. I came out of Art Center College of Design. I was doing car design. I was doing car concepts, things like that. And immediately I thought to myself, like, I'm going to hit a ceiling fast. And like I could feel my stomach turning, and I was like, I need to build an empire. I got to build something crazy. And this is for me, this is natural. It's the same. I say super machines because when I was a little kid, it was like motorcycles and cars and like snowboards and things that you could strap to your body that convinced you that you could do amazing things and nothing was impossible. Right. And so that was, I saw like Mr. Honda, like when I first went to Honda to interview when I got the job over there was a big photo of Mr. Honda standing there with a shit-eating grin with a jetpack on, like that he supposedly like tested or whatever. But to get back to your question about, where these came from, this is years in the making. The official Wilbur business started in 2019.
Got it. Okay. This is fucking exciting, Nicole. I'm like,
insane.
Yeah, empire building.
It's insane. Yeah, it's insane.
It's funny because the world is in a weird place, not to get into it in depth, but like politically and people socially and things like that. And I think it's interesting because, I always make things that are difficult to make. And when you make things that are difficult to make or haven't been made before, there's an inherent cost to that, which means that cost gets trickled down, that gets passed on to the customer, which means I end up making luxury things, not because I want to make expensive things, but because I want to make something that hasn't been made like that before. And because of that, it means there's high R&D costs. It means that you have to, you've got capital expenditures that don't match the other ones. There's a milling carbon fiber that has to be done in it for other countries. OSHA doesn't like that here. There's different types of stuff. So what happens is that but for me, it was about also trying to kind of say, what's the next generation of a luxury? Because you drive down the road all the time by the Paramus Auto Mall, and there's like these foam core buildings that are like, these new, just because it's new, it says luxury apartments. And I'm like, just because it's new doesn't mean it's luxury. Just because it doesn't have the rats and the cockroaches yet doesn't mean that it's luxury. And so I'm like, look, real luxury is something that is difficult and different and honestly different and authentic in a sense that it's nothing else is like it. And it's at a level that's way above what's expected. And it has to be like that. And it has to be authentically like that. And I always tell people, like, if it doesn't hurt a little bit, it's probably not worth it. And that's the way it is with these. And so, but I wanted to change it from being a symbol of wealth or a symbol of or a symbol of status in the traditional sense where it's gold and diamonds and heritage brands and I'm wearing a brand that then represents me as a human. This is more about, like I said earlier, it's about people when they strap these on, when they're thinking about whatever journey they're going through, whatever business they're trying to build, whatever they're doing in their life, and they look down to see the wrong time on their watch because they don't care what time it is either. But it reminds them that like everything is possible. Nothing is impossible. And so that's kind of what I thought this could do, is change the face of what luxury is. Now, granted, I'm plugging it because it straps on your wrist, because it tells time, because they are watches. It's now it has to live within that infrastructure from everything from manufacturing to distribution. I'm very much plugged into the Swiss old school manufacturing, and there's a culture there. So you're balancing a lot of things in order to make this stuff occur at the level that I want it to. Yeah. But like I said, I started this thing, I had done one that was a belt-driven watch that later you guys can check it out. It was called. It ended up being called the Tread One, and I sold it to Devon in 2009. I came out of college with $200,000 in debt, and then I put $200,000 on credit cards to make this watch. And
going for it.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, dude, all the way.
Crazy.
And then I did that while I was working at Honda, and I talk about no sleep, but it was 2009, right? Everybody's house was worth $1. Their 401k was worth like 50 cents. Wow. I was running around saying like, I'm going to build the next luxury American empire. This is going to be like this. It's carbon fiber and titanium. We're wearing spaceships on our wrists. And everybody was like, yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Not now. And I said, no.
It's the time to do that.
Yeah. And I said, no. And I said,
finances had collapsed.
Right.
Yeah.
So eventually what I did, I licensed it. I sold it. It helped me because it helped me get a lot of the people that would hang up on my calls when I would try to get help in Switzerland.
The first one doesn't have to be the only one, the last one, right?
No.
It's a step, and you probably learned a lot about building a product or business terms and working with a team.
And what not to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
What not to do.
Really.
I always tell people, I say, like, if you have an opportunity to really screw something up, do it. Like, do it right away. Because the thing is that, like, all this like LinkedIn, like top 5 ways to be successful, top 10 ways to be. I don't want that. I want the like what not to do. Like, don't step here.
Yeah.
Like, don't step there. Like, these are the things not to do, because the things that are the options of what you can do that are right are smaller than the options you can do that are wrong. So like, I'd rather see that list.
Yeah. I mean, what are like the top 2 things what not to do in your opinion for building a luxury brand?
Well, I mean, honestly, from an entrepreneurial standpoint, I think like before you even get involved in any of this, I think somebody has to say to themselves, what game am I playing, right? So because that's always hard when somebody says like, I want to start a business. Why are they doing it first? Like, because some people do it because they don't like their job. That's escape from something. There's other people that do it because they came up with a great idea and they need to make it. There's all those kinds of things. But like, we've kind of used this one word entrepreneur to cover 3 different things. And what it basically is it like, if you're building, the way I look at it is, if you're building something to sell to somebody else, then you're an inventor, right? Like if you're building a technology and the idea is that someone else is going to take that and implement it in their brand or their product or whatever else it is, and then they're the ones that take the risk on the market, you're an inventor. If you are building something to support yourself or your family, that's a business. You can be self-employed. You can do those kinds of things, and those are things where there's a limit to the cash flow, right? You can only scale yourself so much. There's those kinds of things. That's business. But if you're going to build a brand, or if you're going to build something that has to stand on its own in the world, that's what an entrepreneur is somebody that's building that. And there's nothing wrong with any of those stages of it. It's just what you're really doing is saying to yourself, like, what risk level am I willing to take? Because what people don't realize is just how much you really have to give up in your life and to get to the point where these things work. Or are you willing to get to that point and have it not work, or whatever? You have to be okay with all of the outcomes.
This irrational obsession,
right.
And so happen.
Yeah. So to me, I think it's like there's nothing wrong with it. It's just, to me, brand building is very difficult because you're trying to create a character for a product or a company, right? And that means now that thing has a personality, which means not everybody's going to like it. And you have to be okay with that. And you also have to protect it. And if you change it too much, then it looks like a waffling liar. Right?
So what entrepreneurial brands out there do you aspire to be like, or to pass?
Just because this isn't just because we're here, but it's something that always inspired me since I was a kid was Burton snowboards.
Oh, yeah.
Like that to me was it, because I was an oddball, man. Like my friends came when I started skateboarding and snowboarding.
Yeah, this is great.
She listens to the podcast.
Like, dude, but from watching, but even from a business standpoint, when I first started snowboarding, there was one board to rent at Magic Mountain down south, and like I would get to the mountain and it'd be gone, it'd be out of the room, and I'd search the mountain for that dude riding that board or that chick. I'm like, listen, why is the board leaning against the wall? Are you done with it? Can I take it now? Can I ride that thing? And like, you saw the other person on the hill that rode. Now it's everywhere. But like,
what are the attributes of Burton that make it top of the list?
I love the living brand thing.
Yep.
I know that came from Jagger. I know that came from JDK. I saw that early on, and I thought there was like a lot of authenticity to it. I thought there was a lot of risk taking to it. I thought there was a lot of personality to it. I thought there was a lot of rebellion to it. I thought there was a lot of youth to it. And I think that all of that, the combination of all of those things.
It was fun.
Dude, it was so fun. And not only that, it pissed a lot of people off, which meant that it was doing it, obviously not in a violent way, but but it was doing it right, because it meant that it wasn't trying to please everybody. It was looking for its loyalists. It was
so good.
Annual Dear Rider letters that Jake would put in their catalog about sort of what the vibe was,
right.
what the tech was going to do.
Right. And it was never enough. Like, it was always growing and building. And even the brand, like every year it was something different. I'd wait for the catalog and you'd see like they didn't have one logo. The logo was constantly moving. It was an organic living thing. And I saw the way that they built that business. And I saw the way that it grew over the years. And obviously snowboarding itself took on a life of its own, right? That's something that's out of their control, but in its own like little silo, I was totally, that was it for me. Like,
yeah.
I mean, for me, it was
That's
that
so cool.
and skateboarding and that culture of just the counterculture thing. Like, let's try to see what we can do. Let's Let's.
I always tell people I like my perspective is standing sideways, right?
Dude,
like
I love it.
Skateboards, surfboards, or snowboards.
Yeah.
So.
And like you learn through that. You learn about how to fall down, smack your head 100 times and keep going until you land something. Like a lot of people, I bring it up all the time.
Don't scare Nicole. She's just like, this is your second season snowboarding.
People laugh at me because I say that I was inspired by snowboarding and skateboarding. They think that like, you know, it's juvenile something. And I'm like, look, until you've become so passionate about something that you like start losing teeth until you land something, like that's something that you can carry through your life, because you start to realize like the risks I'm taking, that you start to have a real perspective about the risks you're taking in business and everything else. And like, what's the worst that can really happen? Mm-hmm. Because everybody I talk to that says, hey, I want to start a business, or I want to do this, or I want to do that. And I'm like, well, you want to, but what have you done yet?
Do you have to be a little rebellious to be this creative? I mean, is that like a precondition?
I don't think so. I think you definitely have to be a little sick. There's something has to be. You have to be something. Something has to be wrong with you for sure.
Yeah.
But I also think that like I don't look at myself as creative enough. Like I'm disappointed all the time with the output. Like I want it to be better. I want it to be more amazing. That's why I keep pushing. Mm-hmm. The second I start saying like, this is really cool to you guys, just slap me, because that's the end. Mm-hmm. Like the whole idea is to continue the journey and find out how far you can actually get. That's what I'm trying to do, is figure out, for me, it's a personal journey, but it's also, I'm trying to kind of inspire other people to try the same things. Because early on, when you go work I see creative people go work in corporations and all the time. Yeah. And it's an obvious, wide, safe path. You go, I did it. I was
going to say, you've done it a couple times. Honda.
I did it. I did it early on. I worked at a company called Razorfish back in the day that was doing websites and branding and things like that. And you get paid nice, and you're doing design, and you're doing cool stuff, and you're doing branding, and you're doing all those things. But what happens is that like I don't know if I keep wanting to say that I came up with this quote, but I probably didn't. I think I heard it somewhere, but I use it all the time and I love it. And it's the best way to ruin an idea is to bring it to a meeting. A great idea. The best way to ruin a great idea is to bring it to a meeting.
Consensus takes over.
But you see it more and more, people with the corporate speak and spending all this time on meetings and achieving nothing, like not building anything. And like,
but the trade is, they don't have $200,000 in credit card debt trying to build it, right? You get, the balance, and maybe you have to do both, right?
Right. And look, and here's the thing, like there's people that's really good for, like I have a lot of respect for people that can sit in a corporation and feel happy with building what they're building, do their, create their output in their silo or in their lane or whatever it is, and be happy with the output, and they're comfortable and all those things. I'm jealous of that, frankly, because like I said, for me, this was a survival move. Like I felt like I was rotting at my core, doing this stuff. And it's lame, because people were like, wow, you worked at, like I was head of Honda Advanced Design. I built a crazy studio. We made it so that it looked like a skate park in there in downtown LA. I hired all kinds of black sheep, crazy people that were engineers and designers that wanted to build the craziest future stuff. That sounds amazing, right? Like I should have been fine with that, but it was the edges were getting sanded down before the stuff would even come out.
Was it because you were spending too much time managing people or process rather than touching hardware or prototypes?
No, I liked managing people. I liked inspiring people. I liked pushing people, because what I always told people was like, listen, you make the craziest thing and I'll help you. And what I'll do is I'm going to help you make the craziest thing. And if your fears are that it's not going to be accepted, or that the corporate, oligarchs are going to come down on you, I'll protect you from that. So like my whole thing was, I always told people, at this studio, I'll hold the door while you guys make crazy stuff. So that's kind of what I did. But I also felt like I was missing out. Once I got to a certain level of design management and everything, I mean, like you're managing budgets, you're doing these other kinds of things. It was also something where I felt like I wasn't creatively fulfilled, and also felt like I needed to do this. Otherwise I would end up just kind of regretting regretting it.
Yeah.
Although there are days I regret doing this.
Yeah,
like
right,
there's,
right.
yeah.
We all have good and bad
I mean,
days.
so we have a lot of entrepreneurs or people who want to be entrepreneurs
Right.
Listening to this podcast. And what you're saying, it's, to me at least, you're building a luxury brand. You are built like, these are amazing. But there's people who haven't built anything yet but are aspiring to.
Right.
What would you tell them to get to that place? Because you obviously started somewhere. But what would your advice be to those who want to start and build an empire like for their own?
You have to, well, I know this sounds cheesy because people say it all the time, but you just have to start. Like you have to do something. You can't just say you want it. You have to start doing it. Number one. Number two, don't listen to anybody that hasn't done it. Like everybody has their opinion, but like if somebody hasn't built something before, like because you're going to get opinions from everywhere, right? And like we've talked about, most people aren't entrepreneurs. Most people are normal, healthy people that decide that they're going to live their life like a healthy person instead of being an entrepreneur, right?
I like how you say healthy.
Yeah. Well,
So true.
and so here's the thing. If you're going to choose to do this, you're going to get a lot of noise. You're going to get a lot of you're going to get a lot of people telling you it's not a good idea. It's unsafe. It's not going to work. Look at this company already did that. This thing already did that. So you have to get started. You have to start doing something. Not only that is, like when I started doing what I was doing to 3D print something, to build something in CAD, to do some of those things, to learn the tools, like that still cost a lot of money. Right? It's like when I was a kid and I was into music and I was in bands and things, like if you wanted to go do a demo tape, like you and your friends really needed to want to do it badly. Like you had to like save up money. Then you'd have to go to a recording studio, tell the guy like I want to do a demo, and he'd be like, yeah, that's $3,000, right? Now you can get your computer, you can open it up, you can do GarageBand, you can do some music, and it's the same
podcast.
You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And the thing is, making physical things, like when you're making hardware, you can, it's, I'm not going to say that it's as easy as that, but there are ways to get started where you can start making the beginnings of it and you can start moving on it. But I also think that like you have to say to yourself, what am I willing to give up in my life that's going to get me to this point? Because as we all know in here, hardware is not cheap.
Yeah.
This is not software as a service. This isn't somewhere you do some coding and then you pivot. Like this is, you're spending money on something that's permanent. And if it's not right, then you're starting again and you're starting again and you're starting again. And you're refining it over time. So the first thing that I would say to somebody is like, find somebody that knows about building this type of stuff at the beginning stages of what you're doing and listen to them. And then everybody else that tells you it's a bad idea, don't listen to them at all. And that would be the first thing that I would say about it. The other thing is that I would say that a lot of times engineers, creators, designers, they get really pigeonholed in the creation process. So what happens is they focus as much as possible on creating the thing. And what happens is that what you find out quickly is that when you start talking about distributing product, expensive product that requires customs and requires dealing with multiple countries, different cultures for marketing, all those kinds of things. When you're talking about global distribution and all of that, you need to learn about that at the same time because if you're not learning about it in parallel, the product takes so long to make. It takes a long time for it to come out. You can't do this stuff in a linear stage. Everything has to be in parallel. So you need to learn everything you can about the business that you're about to go, disrupt or whatever. And you need to, so that you know what rules you're going to break. Yeah. And you have to do that while you're making your thing. Because if you make your thing and wait till you're done making your thing to then start figuring out the business, one of two things is going to happen. Either you're going to be too late, you're going to be too exhausted, you're going to be out of money and everything else. Or what's going to happen is you're going to start leaning on people that are already in that industry or whatever that are going to want to take it and turn it into something safe, turn it into something else and all of that.
Really great point about the channels that you would sell something at. So like I had a personal startup experience where, our water coolers were a certain size. Had they been, 4 inches shorter, 2 inches narrower, it was a totally different shipping. cost
Right.
and category.
Right.
Like, yeah, we would have made a couple trade-offs on design, but my gosh, it would have made it substantially cheaper for us and our customers. So like, duh. I mean, too late to know because it was finished.
Right.
Yeah.
And we'd ordered 100 of them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And then you just have to do it.
Whoopsie.
Do it and then mark that down, but move on. You know, like I did the same thing early on. I did boxes for my watches, and then COVID came. And then I was shipping watches to people that were over the certain threshold for insurance through FedEx and UPS. They didn't like my boxes because when they dropped the box, it broke or it could damage the watch or they thought it could and all this kind of stuff. So
Which so sucks because you work so hard to build something, make a sale,
right.
You're doing
customer
this
right.
problem.
So what did I do? I just basically said, okay, fine. I'm gonna have to absorb the cost. Like I need to sell these watches. I'm gonna ship the watches anyway. I mean, I'll lose a few watches in the meantime, but that's part of the deal. But you learn it. You learn how much bubble wrap you're supposed to. I mean, there's the fulfillment companies out there now that ship the stuff. They will charge you like $3 per cut of bubble wrap. So I was like, I would sit down with bubble wrap sometimes for like a night and figure out like, okay, when I put this in the box, like, and still make it look luxury, like not like bubble wrap, like it's Christmas ornaments or something,
Yeah.
but like how many times do you need to cut the bubble wrap so that I can make it the least amount of times so that I'm paying the least amount for the fulfillment company to do the thing. So I'm like thinking about the dimensions of the bubble wrap and all that stuff. All of those things take over your time and they can start to intrude on the passion of what you're doing also. So it's important to kind of segment a lot of that stuff early on.
I saw one of your posts on LinkedIn about, I'll call it was direct to consumer, but it's really artist to consumer channel that you wanted to pursue, like more direct selling. Can you talk a little bit about that, how it related to either your pricing strategy or just making your timepieces more accessible? Actually, what's the price range of them? And then answer that question.
Well, so, I mean, I kind of use an automotive type of model for this just because since I come from the automotive thing. So I try to create halo pieces that are anywhere from $20,000 to $40,000, and then I've got a new one coming that's about $125,000, and then I've got my daily drivers, which is kind of the entry into the Wilbur world, right? And those are anywhere between they're like $5,000 to $7,000, and that's my volume driver, right? And I forgot what you asked.
It had to do with the direct to consumer.
Oh yeah. Oh, so I mean, here's what happened: is that because I had already had a relationship in the watch world from trying to launching the Devon thing, I had retailers that I had gone to in advance, showing them some of the products that I had done. I mean, some of the watches that I was making, and and I invested in the watches. I mean, I invested in them before. I didn't go to them with sketches. I went to them with watches in hand, and so I went to retailers, and they said, "Yeah, this is great. We'll take it on." This was 2019, and then all of a sudden, COVID hit, and they said, we're going to have to put them in storage for a couple weeks. And I said, dude, I put everything in my entire life. I put all my life savings into this. I cannot wait. I'm not waiting around. It's not going to be 2 weeks. It's going to be forever. I'm not going to do this. I have to go direct. So I immediately talk about learning new tools. I immediately did a Shopify site.
Wow.
I was like, this is not the way to do luxury. Shopify says add to cart. That's not the right attitude for luxury. This isn't, but I had to do what I had to do. So I was like, okay, we'll reframe this whole thing. And what happened was that I started selling a lot of watches during COVID because everybody was in their underwear with some free checks and they didn't know what else to do except buy some stuff. And
it was easier to dress up with something.
I know.
Right. Well, I was like,
it was like, yes.
Yeah, totally.
Right? Yeah, I was like,
yeah, something like, oh, hello, yeah. So what happened was, when I say to direct now, I mean, it's really more for me. It's a mixed model. What I want
70% retail, 70%.
It's about
direct?
right now. It's about 70% direct, 30% retail distribution. Eventually, if I wanted to grow to the $100 million plus business I'm trying to build it into, it's going to have to become more like 70-30 the other way around. But the margins are very good on watches. And it's, I think what happens is that what I wanted it to do was I wanted there to be an authentic connection between the customer and my brand. So because retailers can flatten that relationship. Not all of them, but it can happen. And especially early with a brand early on. So like for me, I thought, okay, I'm going to sell direct. I'm going to do it. It had nothing to do with making more money or margins, because you're going to make plenty of money. Even if you're giving 50% to the retailers, these make enough. You do fine from a margin standpoint. It's built into the system already that everybody involved makes money. So the direct to consumer thing, what it really did was it really made me have like more of a relationship with the customer and kind of get them more.
How did that change or guide your product evolution? Right?
It in certain ways it made it more clear that this idea of having a tiered pricing model was gonna work well from a business standpoint, in terms of making it so that it wasn't just like this luxury thing that's just kind of stuck in a price point. Because the retailers, they want a price point because people come in and shop based on price. But I'm selling something that's artwork, right? So I'm trying to train them to say, hey, if you don't want to watch, if you want something else, we've got super machines. And then it changes the whole idea of what it is that somebody's putting on their wrist. And so, but that being said, I think dealing with the customers directly, selling the watches directly, seeing what they were into, like cars, motorcycles, planes, snowboarding, other crazy things that they're into, I started very quickly starting to understand more about the customer. Because for me, this was a personal endeavor. It's very selfish. It's me making watches and saying, you either like them or you don't. I only need a couple thousand people a year to buy these to turn it into $100 million brand. I need 2,000 people and it's fine.
What's your customer profile?
It's a mixed profile, but a lot of people are self-made people. They're people that have taken risks in their life. They're people that have built something. No, it's not mostly men. It's funny, and I even told people early on. I even told early customer service people. I had customer service people that would. Somebody would email about a Leo, one of the watches, $40,000 watch or whatever, and it would be, Elizabeth or whatever. And so somebody would make an assumption and say like, so who's this for? And like the customer service person would be like, she'd say like, I'm thinking about this color or this color. And then they'd say like, well, is it for your husband or your boyfriend or something? I said, dude, never say that again.
Yeah. Wow.
Because
it's a gift for somebody
because it was women that are driving Lambos and own car dealerships in Houston.
Wow.
And they're like, I want a crazy rocket ship on my wrist.
I love that.
And so it's definitely people that are past a point in their life where they need approval, and they need like that consensus.
Yeah.
And the industry itself pushes for that.
Right.
So it's best if I reach the customer myself. And you've seen some of the way that I talk about the brand. Like sometimes it's cryptic, sometimes I'm pushing buttons, sometimes it comes from a human and a rebellious standpoint that speaks to those people in life that live their own life, that aren't afraid to be different.
Like the videos, it's you in your barn, right? Just not a lot of pretense and background, but very confident.
Right.
Yeah.
Because if you explain a lot, if you over explain it, now it looks like you're selling. And with luxury, you don't want to sell too much. You don't want to explain it too much, because then it looks like you're looking for approval. So stripping things back when you're making a luxury brand, it's actually hard because you want to explain it to people. You're like, well, I want to show them how it works, and I want to make sure they
fill in the blank, right?
Right. And the thing is that they like the customer profile, the people that like this, they want to feel like they found it. They don't want to feel like you sold it to them.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I have one more question. Can I ask Nicole?
Yeah. Go for it.
What was it like the first time you saw someone in the wild wearing one of your watches? Has that happened, like in an airport or something like that?
It totally has happened. It's really funny, actually. The first time I saw somebody, actually I had the first time, I'll tell you two pieces. Sorry, I know that I'm just yapping here, but I'm going to give you guys two pieces because this one's fun. When I did the Devon watch, right? Like I would wear it around. It was big. It was this round thing. It had the belt spun. It was nuts. And a guy at an airport saw it on me. He didn't have it on. But he saw it on me and he recognized it. And it was the first time somebody had recognized the watch on me. And he came over to me and he said, dude, I hate that watch. I've seen that thing so many times. I think it's so nasty. I don't like that watch at all.
What an ass.
And I just, and I was,
were you like?
I was like, well, I mean, you just spent a chunk of your life telling me about that you'll never get back.
Yeah.
So congratulations. But
That's so
but
funny.
Wow.
and this is another thing that kind of can another thing that can kind of lead into some of this stuff with entrepreneurs and stuff like that, because people will always you're always going to get judgment is when you get to that point when somebody starts doing this, because people love these or they hate them.
I was going to
And
say,
they tell
had
me
to
all the
form an
time.
opinion, so you got noticed. And
Right. They tell me all the time. People tell me all the time how much I suck, right? Like they do. And it's easy to be like, well, maybe I do. Maybe I suck. Maybe this is terrible. Maybe, but there's also people that are like, this is the best thing ever. I love it so much. This is, thank you for making something awesome, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, wait, man, it's just a watch. Like, and so there's that thing where when somebody writes to you and says, hey man, this is the coolest thing in my collection. I never cared about watches before, and I bought this because it's so cool and it speaks to me and it reminds me of awesome things. And that's really cool, right? But like I always tell people, if you're making something, most people don't make things, right? Yeah. They just have opinions. Mm-hmm. So the next time somebody comes up to you and craps on the thing you made, ask them where theirs is. Where's yours? And I'm not saying, it's just.
No, I know, like, it's true.
Because most people don't make stuff. And so the thing is that it's like, it's never going to be perfect for everybody. There's, you just have to be as authentic as possible with it. But the first time I did see my watch in person on somebody, I went over to them and I didn't tell them who I was, or I didn't say anything about the thing, but I was just like, hey man, how do you like that? And they were like, this is my favorite watch, dude. You got to check it out. Like, dude, you got to check it out. You got to check out the website. There's other watches too. They make these other ones also. Like they're really amazing, like blah, blah, blah. And the guy was like telling me all about the whole thing and everything. And it's funny too, because he's showing me the website and there's like pictures of me. And I'm standing right there.
Did you ever tell him or no?
And no.
It's like you're punking him, right?
Yeah,
honestly, though?
It's like when I see it, I do want to know. Like, and the thing is that my attitude in general is like, oh, I don't care what anybody thinks. This is my artwork, blah, blah, blah. But like, look, if there's something, like I come from automotive, it means like the thing's supposed to be crazy, but it should also be, these are not diminutive things. They're larger pieces. I want them to be ergonomic. I want you to be able, I snowboard with this thing on. Like I want it to fit well. If people are like, hey, this thing digs in a little bit, or this isn't quite right. Like, I mean, my outward, the way I market this stuff is like, I'm making my thing. You like it or you don't. You know, you either like it or you don't.
Snowboarders have feelings too. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, snowboarders have feelings too. And so my thing is, as I build the brand out, I mean, obviously, like right now, I've got 3 other watches that I have planned for the future. Obviously, those aren't coming until we do another capital raise here. But like, I've got a whole product pipeline of products that do a good balance of approaching some of the desires that I know that my customers have. Yeah. That collectively I've gotten feedback from, and that's a good thing to do without it feeling like you're doing focus groups.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I think what you said speaks to the customer discovery process. When people say you need to talk to people with like an unbiased perspective, you even going up to someone being like, how do you like it? Like, what do you think? Instead of being like, hey, I've seen those. They look cool. You know what I mean? Right. And I think that's such a good reminder, even for, entrepreneurs in any sector of go, even if it is your product, just ask what they think. Right. Don't say anything else.
The best thing anybody can do is call your own customer service line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and
go. Did you answer my question?
Well, yeah, totally. And I thank people. For me also, I tell people all the time, if you're going to do something super rebellious from a product standpoint and brand standpoint, make sure your business end is buttoned up. Like, make sure you don't want a rebellious financial department. You don't want you want to make sure that so I call it's omotenashi, which is I don't know if you guys have heard of that before, but it's basically a Japanese term relating to hospitality. And it's like the highest level of hospitality, where basically like you leave the room at a hotel, you come back in, all of a sudden like you were gone for 5 seconds, and like there's thank you notes and everything's perfect, and like you got chocolates and there's all that kind of thing, and you didn't even see somebody move around. I apply that to this too. So like people get a coffee table book, I write them a thank you note. Like I personally do that. It's so.
That's all part of the brand.
That's
right?
the brand.
I mean, it's
Yes.
precision throughout the organization and touch points.
You can't just, once the transaction occurs in luxury, if you walk away from that customer after that point, you've just doomed your company, because the future of luxury is relationship first, not transaction first. So you have to make sure you check in. You have to say Happy New Year. You have to do those things. If they tell you, "Hey, man, I don't need your emails anymore," that's fine. But but that's part of doing a product and not even luxury. I think that the brands today can do that without it becoming a massive cost or a massive undertaking from a structural standpoint.
It's so right you said that. Like Shinola in Detroit. So I just somehow gets following them. We bought a watch. I don't like a leather strap. I don't like the watch, but the whole journey and the other little pieces they put together was, I don't know, I'm a sucker. They got me.
Yeah. I tell people like this. I say branding there's two different things when it comes down to brand. Like those houses you see where the house is gorgeous, but there's no landscaping, it makes the house look unfinished. Like you need to do the landscaping, then the house is finished. Same thing with the brand. Like you need to build if you want to build for lack of a better explanation, like if you want to put on fights, right? You don't do it in a parking lot and then put some chairs around. That's how you just kind of scale a business. That's like, well, more people want to come see it. You put more chairs, you charge more stuff. If you want to build a real brand, what you do is you build the Coliseum first to show people the scale of what you're trying to build, that they know that whatever they see inside that Coliseum is going to be legendary. They'll know it from outside. Before they even go inside, they know. And you put 100,000 seats because you're like, that's how much I believe that there's going to be people that want to see this battle or whatever it is, and so
the battle of the super machines.
Well, again, I use all these different analogies because people with their brands, they miss it all the time. Build a moat. I tell people all the time, if you're going to build a castle, build the moat around the castle. When you build the moat, that's your brand, because what it means then is it means that you could take the castle down and put whatever you want in the middle, and you're protecting that. You're protecting that thing. So you have to do that. And you have to do it in parallel with all these other things. And again, go back to like what level you're really dealing with as an entrepreneur. If you're trying to build a technology that you want to sell, you don't really need to worry too much about the market or being exposed in that way. You're not taking the same types of risks, right? You're just building something that's going to plug into somebody else's thing. You build some IP that's valuable. That's cool. That's awesome. That's a great way to do some of these things. Like I love that too. But when you're trying to build something that has to live on its own, you have to make sure that it carries a personality. Otherwise, it's just another product, just another thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Wow. Yeah. Do I have time to ask one more question, or what do you think?
Yeah, maybe the Vermont one.
Yeah, I was
gonna
bring that up. So you were in LA, or born in New York, then moved to LA, then back to Vermont with your kiddo and your wife.
Yeah.
Why Vermont? What is it like? What is the advantage of being here? Or there's some disadvantages?
Yeah, well, I mean, I moved to LA in 2001. So I was in LA for 20 something years.
Yeah.
17 years. Then I moved to Orange County. Then I moved to North County, San Diego. And that's where I was during COVID and everything. And it's nice. There's ranches up there and it's quiet. And I was slowly moving away from the noise, But I'd been out there because I went out there to go to art center, to go to Art Center College of Design. That's what I did because I already had a career. The career was driving me crazy. I wanted to go back and learn how to build cars. So I went to LA and did that. But like, there's a point when you're creating these things and the noise gets so loud that you need some solitude. And so I come back to Vermont. I come back to Vermont all the time. When I was in California, I would go up to Mammoth and I would go up there and just grow like a Unabomber beard and stay there for 2 weeks. And my wife would be like, "Are you coming home?" And I'm like, we would rent a place up there just so I could go snowboarding. But it wasn't just so I could go snowboarding. It was so that I could like think clearly, like really think clearly. Because like I've said before, when you're building stuff like this, when you're building these things, nobody gets it. There's not that many people that get this stuff. So the thing is that you end up finding yourself in solitude with noise. So you're like in the middle of like this crazy city that's supposed to be like all about music, but there's no musicians, all about art, but there's no artists, all about building, but there's no builders. It's just people making noise. And so I'm very deliberate about every few years, and I schedule this kind of like this about, and I was very deliberate about coming here to Vermont because I wanted to come here and create that flat six watch that you saw.
Yeah.
I needed to do that in the woods. That's something
guys, go check it out on the website. I can't even begin to explain it. Go on. Sorry, I just had to shout it out.
That had to happen here. That could happen up in the Sierras, up in the mountains. It could have happened, but it was not going to happen in LA. It wasn't going to happen in San Diego. So like and when you're building a company like this, there's stages that it's appropriate to be within the noise and within where you have access to a lot of talent and you have access to proximity to partners and capital and all those other things. And then there's there's points where you need to basically make sure that your nervous system is in check and that you are basically making decisions that come from a place of clarity. Another thing that's Japanese, fun thing. I'm sorry. I know we're running out of time here, but you guys will love this one too. But like, there's a thing. It's an actual. They prescribe going to the woods. Japanese doctors,
forest bathing sort of thing.
Yeah, where you go to the woods.
Wow.
And so for me, Vermont has always been a place where I can like come to and think. I also, like I said, I'm very deliberate about it. I do it for periods of time. Like I came out here this time. Obviously, I had my son. In 2021, and he's 4 now, and I wanted to have him have like a very grounded, meaningful first experience with life. I didn't want him to think that La La Land with everybody staring at their phones was real life. I wanted him to like learn how to, this kid can snowboard already. Like he's riding Switch. He's on a dirt bike. He's like learns how he rides horses. He digs holes.
I raised 2 little Groms too that are awesome.
Isn't it awesome? Isn't it the best thing ever? Like he knows he knows righty tighty with the screwdriver. He knows how to. I've made the mistake and I let him use the snowblower the other day, which my wife almost killed me. But this is so it's very, again, it's a very deliberate thing. And obviously like it's what, we're in the second lowest populated state in the entire country or something like that. Yeah. So it's definitely like it's nice to come hang out with you guys, come talk to builders, make sure that you stay plugged in because even though you want that solitude a little bit so that you can get your bearings straight, you also need to make sure that you stay healthy psychologically and emotionally and connected to people. And so I've always done it as kind of like doses of it, where it's a dose of crazy, a dose of reality. Like there's nothing like walking in the woods around here in the snow and just like get your mind is right and you can feel
do it every
powerful.
day. And actually our dog's name is Switch.
There you go. I love it.
All right, Nicole, hit it.
Magic wand time.
All right.
What founder or leader, past or present, would you like to chat with and why?
Oh man, that's a really good one because I don't know if I pay enough attention to what's going on outside of my specific thing to know.
Come on, like
You
who
can
would you
answer
lose your
anyone.
marbles
No,
over
you know-
if you
you-
saw them in the elevator?
Well, you know what? I never
magically,
get too
or-
overly excited about this guy. You know what? I want to find out. This isn't even because this has nothing to do with even like. I want to talk to that Alex Karp guy.
Yeah, the Palantir.
Yeah.
Yep.
I want to know what it is they're doing. Because I think that those dudes are selling vapor. I think that I have no idea what's going on. Maybe they're not, but I want to know. Because if he is, I want to know how to do it too.
Yeah.
Because I'm like,
We'll go hang out at a cross-country ski area, 'cause
is that what he
his
does?
obsession.
Oh my
Yes.
goodness. Or like a bad hair place. Like it.
I don't know about that.
Place that gives bad haircuts. No, I think I'd like to talk to, there's people that are doing those kinds of crazier things, and I'd love to.
All right.
Just
That's a
find
great
out what's going
answer.
on.
No, it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
All right, Nicole, like pretty inspiring, huh?
I know. Yeah.
Totally
I'm
gonna
in
go
awe.
watch shopping. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jason, thank you so much for the time today.
Hey, it's a pleasure,
Really
you guys.
appreciate it. Everybody
Yeah.
go check out Super Machines.
Yes.
Love it. Thank you guys for having me.
This has been Start Here, a podcast sharing the stories of active, aspiring, and accidental entrepreneurs. This series is brought to you by the Vermont Center for Emerging Technologies. Now let's get back to work.